Today we're going to talk about bipolar I and II. What's the difference? I recently sent out a survey to over 1,000 people asking them what kind of mental illnesses they face, as well as their loved ones. And I wasn't surprised when I heard back that bipolar disorder is in the top 5 of those people who responded. And I just can't wait to dive into this topic because it's so close to my heart. My husband fights against bipolar II disorder, and so I have some really amazing information, not only from my studies, but also from personal experience. Bipolar is a brain disorder that causes unusual changes in mood, in energy, and also in the ability to function on a day-to-day basis. It isn't just a normal mood swing that someone might have, feeling kind of happy in the morning and then maybe a little down by bedtime. Bipolar is a clearly defined mental illness. Bipolar I is involving periods of severe mood episodes that involve mania and depression. So in order to be diagnosed with bipolar I, you have to have at least one manic episode and at least one major depressive episode. Bipolar II involves at least one hypomanic episode and one major depressive episode. So people with bipolar I and bipolar II both deal with depression that lasts for more than 2 weeks. So what does that look like? Depression is a prolonged period of sadness, and you might experience unexplained crying, just that social withdrawal and an inability to take pleasure in things that you had formerly loved. There can be significant changes in your appetite. You can have weight gain or weight loss. You might sleep too much or sleep too little. There's a real marked difference in irritability and anger and worry and agitation. You can also experience anxiety and just that loss of energy and deep lethargy. There's a lot of feelings of guilt that really have no root in reality and a sense of worthlessness. And so you begin to have just an inability to concentrate and really follow through on things. And there's an increased indecisiveness as you go throughout this depression. And there's often reoccurring thoughts of death and suicide. And it could also include psychotic episodes. So the difference between bipolar I and bipolar II really lie in mania versus hypomania. Bipolar I patients experience manic mood symptoms, and this is an abnormally elevated mood or irritated mood that lasts at least 7 days, unless they end up being hospitalized prior to that. And so let's look at what that manic episode might look like. So this is going to look like marked rapid speech and a need for little sleep, racing thoughts, and rapid ideas that seem like so creative that they're irresistible. There's a continuous high energy that can often be goal-driven, and whether or not you complete those goals is really the question, but there's this overconfidence that, you just have this inflated self-esteem that you're going to be amazing and can do anything. And distractibility and trouble concentrating, even though you have so many awesome ideas going on in your mind. It also leads to reckless behavior and poor judgment, and often high-risk, pleasure-seeking type behaviors. And this can also include psychotic symptoms. And so just to explain what that would include would be just a loss of contact with reality, where there can be delusions as well as hallucinations. Bipolar II patients experience what's called hypomania, and that includes the above symptoms that I mentioned with the manic episode, but it excludes the psychotic symptoms, and it doesn't have to last as long, 4 days versus 7 days, and it doesn't usually create as much impact and impairment in functioning. And so this is Not something that usually leads to like a hospitalization, as mania will often do, but it's still very difficult to deal with. Although hypomania is a milder level of mania, I want to be clear that bipolar II is not a milder form of bipolar. The deepness of the depression that someone with bipolar experiences is often crushing and just impairs functioning so greatly that often those with bipolar II disorder don't seek help, or when they do seek help, they're misdiagnosed with major depressive disorder. This is exactly what happened to my husband, Michael, and he experienced also being hypomanic and depressed at the same time, which is very confusing and left him feeling so irritated and agitated. And this often leads to just an increased risk of suicide in bipolar patients. So now you know a little bit about the differences between bipolar I and bipolar II. So you might be concerned that you have one of these illnesses, or maybe that a loved one has one of these disorders. But I would really encourage you, I can't encourage you enough, to seek professional help, because this is where the rubber meets the road. These are people who can put together a treatment plan and can really accurately diagnose. You cannot self-diagnose. You can come in with all of the information that you have and then successfully get on the road to recovery. In addition, I'm going to leave you with some resources in the notes below. Licensed health professional Rebecca Lomland, a wonderful counselor, has helped me put this whole talk together, and she's amazing. She shared with me some great tips, and so I'm going to share those with you, those resources, and I hope it will be of benefit as you look more deeply into this and educate yourself. Proverbs 3:7 says, "Don't be wise in your own eyes." No one has all the answers, right? We just need to depend on one another and do our best to get the information that we need and depend on the Holy Spirit to guide us into all truth. You know, what have you learned today about bipolar disorder? I'd love to hear from you. So just comment below and we'll connect that way. And please subscribe for more videos so that you don't miss out on any of the upcoming information. I'll be sharing some great tips and encouragement for those who are suffering with mental illness or have a loved one who is. I'll see you next time.